All right, let's move on to Ravens-Eagles. Ravens-Eagles, let's see what we are dealing with from spreads and totals. No wonder the whale capper was like, get through the 1 o'clock games.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here and I don't even want to talk about them.
But this is a little more exciting here. Ravens-Eagles. Baltimore opens up as 7-point favorites. That doesn't last long. Now, that was juiced to minus 120 at Bet365, but that's already moved to 7.5, and there are 8s on the board now. 8s on the board for the Ravens on the road at Philly. This total opened up at 47.5. It's now at 48. And Nut Flush Allen telling you put a small bet on Tannehill MVP. You will get great odds, and it's worth lunch money. Interesting look there from Nut Flush Allen. Let's see what the tickets and money is here in the Ravens-Eagles. We have all the money and all the cash. Very high. Now, it is Tuesday, so we don't want to dive too into these numbers, but 91% it says of cash on the Ravens, 88% of the tickets on the Ravens, and a ridiculous people are only betting overs in this game. Only betting overs. Herman Brito in the house. Thank you for joining us, Herman. Robert Allen says, I love the Eagles +8. Let's talk about the Ravens first. Coming off dominant 27-3 win at home over the Bengals. 18th straight game with a turnover. They sacked Joe Burrow 7 times. Jackson goes 19 for 37 for 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick. At 4-1, the Ravens matched their best start in team history. They ran for 161 yards, 46% on third downs. Marquise Brown caught 6 passes for 77 yards. And their linebacker, Otero Alaka, missed the second half with a knee injury. Defensive tackle Broderick Washington, wide receiver Chris Moore, and guard Tyree Phillips all remain out. For the Eagles, Wentz threw for 258 yards, 2 scores, and 2 picks in the Eagles' 38-29 loss at Pittsburgh. So it was an interesting game. I doubled up, so I lost the first half and cashed the full game. Bebsy cashed the full game. The Eagles were able to move the ball. At one point, they converted 10 straight third downs. It was confusing. Travis Fulgham caught 10 passes for 152 yards. Miles Sanders ran for 80 yards and 2 scores. It was their defense couldn't get stops. They allowed Chase Claypool. I mean, he's a great player, but this is a rookie second-round pick to catch for 3 touchdowns and run for another out of Abbey, BC. We're very proud of him up in the Pacific Northwest. Defense forced 1 punt after the first quarter. The Steelers converted 11 of 15 third downs. Wentz was sacked 5 times. And Lane Johnson carted to the locker room with a third quarter ankle injury. He's been dealing with ankle issues the whole time. Duke Riley left in the fourth quarter. Their linebacker with an undisclosed injury. Darius Slay's in concussion protocol. And Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson remain out of the lineup, as does Avonte Maddox. Do you agree with this market move towards the Ravens, Bebsy?
Yeah, I can see it because Phillies, again, they're dealing with injuries and injuries on top of injuries. But I feel like Wentz is now developing a bit of a rapport with Fulgham. Fulgham, am I saying that right? Fulgham. I just find it very difficult to bet against that Eagles defensive line right now. They have been great. It's not their fault. It's the secondary and the linebackers that aren't stepping up. And look, I think Claypool's the real deal. I was crushing on him hard on the draft. I thought he had Megatron-like skill set. I'm not calling him Megatron. I'm just saying he is huge. He is fast. He is an impressive player. If you didn't pick him up in fantasy 2 weeks ago, you're not getting him now. But I can't very well back the Eagles in this, especially with the way the Ravens have played really outside of the Chiefs game. So I hate to say it, but it's another no play for me. I kind of lean Ravens because I just think they're all around better. But man, it's that Eagles defensive front, particularly the line, not the front 7, but the front 4, look great. They cause a lot of havoc. I think they'll give Lamar some trouble. And Wentz is, man, after playing horrendous to start the season, Wentz has got it together. He got his mojo back playing San Francisco. He played well again this week, despite, having a broken down O-line and having Fulgham as his top receiver.
What did you make of the way the Eagles were able to move the ball on the Steelers defense? Do you think that this Eagles offense is getting stronger and stronger? Do you think the Steelers' defense is not as good as maybe we expected it to be?
I think, first of all, I think the Steelers' defense is great, and I do think that's a bit of an anomaly. But, man, Wentz, especially on third down, has been looking like the last 2 weeks, 2 weeks only, he has looked like the pre-injury MVP Wentz, where he was shifty, he's buying time in the pocket. He looks great. I didn't think he was going to be able to do what he did against that Pittsburgh Steelers front seven, but he was still looking fantastic. And you're right. If they could have shut down Claypool and that Steelers offense, they could have won that game. But who knows? Who knows if Wentz can keep this up? Especially without Lane Johnson now, but man, he has put that team on his back for now.
I lost 1.4 units or more actually in that game because I lost 1.55 units in that game. I had the first half lost at minus 115, but I lost on the Carson Wentz over 14.5 rush yards. He got 11, and that was at 1.40 units. So at this point, I'm 23-23, but I've lost 3 prop bets this year, and that's so. I mean, whatever. It's a loss is a loss, and they all count. But I would be positive units, 23-20, had I not been making these prop bets. Sammy B in the house. Great to see you, Sammy B. And, a couple cappers. Herman Brito saying, Mr. Stay Away Bebsy. Look, when you're sitting 22-7, 75.9% up 13.73 units, you start I don't know. Winning begets winning. Hang around winners, you'll do more winning. And you start betting smarter. And there's a reason why Whale Capper wasn't like, oh, I love these 1 p.m. games. I need to be there at the start of the show. These are tricky.
Prince in the City wrote, what happens when Mr. Glass really gets hit, Bebsy? Yeah, you're right, Prince. That's the thing. Wentz is one bad move away from going down again. We know he gets hurt a lot, but all I said was the last 2 weeks, he put the team on his back and looked like MVP Wentz, not Mr. Glass and Mr. Errant Throw Wentz. So I don't know.
Taking hits.
You're right. He's an injury-prone QB. I don't know what else you want me to say to that.
But he was taking hits. He was taking hits.
Yeah.
And getting up. And
I mean, he's still an NFL football player. He can take a hit, but sometimes you get folded up on.
We got our man Clint started iHeart MMA podcast in the house. Clint, we already talked the Vikings game, but I'd love to hear how you are handling your Vikings this week.